Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the show. Rise Up Show with me, your host, the Queen Bee, Dani. How are you feeling? As we chat this morning to the devilishly handsome, the fabulously wonderful, the incredibly knowledgeable Mr. Fidel Bohill, the modern man. Good morning. Jodie Sol, good morning. Fabna Reddy, good morning. Elise Woodbine, good morning. The devilishly handsome Ian Dixon, good morning, sir.
Shut up, for f***'s sake. Jesus.
The fantastic Lizzie Jackson Barrett, good morning. Josephine Sandra, everybody, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Shake your bums. It's Friday. We made it. Another week. It's only, that's right, Joe Gilbert. It's only bloody Friday. How are you? Welcome to the show, Rise Up Show with me, your host. I am the Queen Bee, Dani Wallace. I hope you are feeling good this morning because I am. I can't tell you. It has been a bit of a week over here at IATQB HQ. There's been house stuff going on. There's been incredible client work going on. We have been propelling our way towards making a bit of a kerfuffle over Be Inspired. The Be Inspired tickets are now on sale, and we are about to turn up the heat, shall we say, on all of our promotion around that. The freaking sun is shining. We have got a shiny, sunny day. I hope across the UK. Please tell me it's sunny up here in Preston. Let me know what the weather is doing wherever you are in the world, wherever you're watching from. Please do let us know if you're watching from abroad, if you're watching from further climes than the UK. Please tell us. We will represent you underneath the compass over here. Our incredible guest Nadine this morning is joining us from Germany, so she can tell us what's happening over there in just a couple of minutes when I bring her through. But yes, here we are, first week with the kids back at school for those of us that are parents or caregivers of children. So congratulations. I hope you've had a little bit of breathing space. How are you feeling about all of that? It's been an incredible week in the news this week with regards to everything that's been going on around International Women's Day. Obviously, there's the whole royal family thing going on. There's the Piers Morgan thing going on in the British press and the British media right now. There's a lot. And I think as a woman in the media this week, it's been quite tiring. Seeing lots of things in social media around the tragic passing of that young lady that they found just a couple of days ago, just as a result of her just walking home, has sparked a lot of conversations around safety and how we keep ourselves safe as women. I also want to send extra love and light to our sisters of colour who must be doubly exhausted. I can't even imagine. So if you are watching out there and you are feeling exhausted this week from everything that's been going on in the media, switch it off, my angels, switch it off, sisters, switch it off, my siblings, and just go and get outside with, you know, if we're allowed, you're one other person, go for a walk, go and experience some real life stuff together if you're able, as best you're able. Over the course of this weekend, let's take a break from it all. Let's just back off from the media for a little bit. It's a bit much, isn't it? It's a bit noisy, but definitely pertinent and relevant conversations happening right the way through. But yeah, it is tiring for the guys that are watching that may not understand. It brings to light a lot of conversations around how we keep ourselves safe as women. There was a lady that posted, I haven't got my keys near me, but there was a lady that posted her holding her keys in her hand with her keys through her fingers. And it's examples like that that really resonate. That, God, I've walked home like that before today. I've walked home thinking, have I got a weapon in my bag that I'm going to need? I've walked home on the phone to somebody because I've not felt safe. And, you know, this still carries on, and this isn't an isolated incident, but another one of those incidents where we really are highlighted just how difficult and how not safe things are, whether they're unsafe from a physical perspective when we're just kind of walking around. But the language is, you know, around the onus on us taking responsibility for safety instead of, hey, guys, don't go doing these things. Like, we've got to take the lift because the lifts have cameras. Don't take the stairs don't have cameras, all that sort of thing. It's all about us and what we have to do in order to keep ourselves safe. And I think the tiring thing is why is it not, don't go doing shit things to people? Like, why is that not the conversation? So very interesting week in the media. It used to be the only reason I bought stilettos. It's scary that we've got to think that way, right? Is there any real surprise why we have spikes on our feet? And we'll laugh about it, but we'll laugh about it because it's true. So send in some extra love and light if you're feeling a bit tired by the media. And hopefully this morning we can bring a little bit of levity and a little bit of brightness to your morning in response, I guess, to just remembering that we are okay, and it's okay to take a break from those things. And even when we're not okay, it's okay to feel those things, and it's okay to talk about those things, and finding your safe spaces in order to do that. Please know that this is, and no one is ridiculed for the way that they think on any of these situations. So just wanted to kind of put a bit of a full stop on that this week, because it's definitely been something that's been in my psyche and something that I've been thinking about, even though there are lots of really exciting things going on in the wider world. These are the things that we've got to kind of acknowledge between ourselves, isn't it? When Piers Morgan said that he was leaving Good Morning Britain, I was like, ITV. I've been rehearsing for this for about 12 months now. I'm ready. Like, come and take me. I can come and sit next to Suzanne in the morning, and we can riff on life. Although I don't know about you, it is absolutely high time that we have a steady person of colour sat on that Good Morning Britain desk. So I've got all of my fingers crossed, my toes and everything crossed, that they cast accordingly for that mainstream anchor. So let's see how that pans out. How are you guys feeling? Let me know in the comments. Are you feeling tired this week? Are you feeling light this week? Are you excited this week? The flowers are starting to peep through. I was walking past the park the other day, and I was just seeing the crocuses and the snowdrops coming through, like telling us that spring is indeed on its way. It just feels like it. March always brings that for me, this kind of lifting of the fog of winter. It gets to 8, and I've made no secret about having seasonal affective disorder, and the fact that October, it happens. It's almost instantly as soon as the clocks change, if not a little bit before. The rumblings and the nervousness about it happen a few weeks before, and then it kind of descends. So you guys have been my saviors in the past 6 months whilst that has been the case, and just peeping out at the grass and the blossom getting on the trees and all of that. Like, spring is springing, and we can feel it. It's just like coiled, ready to go pull. And the next week or so, I know that we're all going to feel it. So without further ado, I am going to be bringing our guest onto the show this morning. We're going to be talking about getting your back office looking fly today. Please welcome Nadine onto the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi.
Hello. Thank you so much. I'm excited. Do you know what, Nadine? You're one of these people who we've been in each other's circles now for maybe even a couple of years. And I've been aware of you, and I know you've been aware of me. And this is the first time we've actually had a proper conversation.
I know. It was about time, wasn't it?
It is about time. It is about time. I was saying, I had my cousin on yesterday. Like, the only way I get to sort of stop and have really meaningful conversation with people that I want to talk to, I just invite them onto my show. That's why I've got the show. We just do it in front of other people.
That's brilliant.
So tell us, Nadine, thank you so much for joining us from Germany this morning. Is there a time difference? Are you like an hour ahead of us?
1
hour.
Yeah.
So you've had more time, more coffee, you're more awake.
Won't say that too much.
Are you on what? So Nadine, without further ado, tell us about what you do. I'm so excited to talk to you about all the things we need to talk about today.
Absolutely. So I'm Nadine de Zoeten. I am, my last name always gives me away. I'm Dutch, but I'm living in Munich. So just to confuse people a little bit more.
Throw them curveballs, keep them guessing.
No, and I'm a business psychologist and sleep expert, and basically what I do, I work with business owners and companies as well, just to take, as I love to say, the busy out of business. Like, we are so busy, we're so knackered all the time, and it's a twofold thing. It has to do with how you lead yourself, but also how you lead your team, your business, your life. And it's about that, and I'm so passionate about that, because you were saying, it's like, people are tired before. The whole situation currently is adding on top of that, and it's about, okay, how can we take a rest, getting out of this moment from like constantly perform, constantly what's going on, like being on like totally
on edge.
Yeah, on edge.
Yeah, like on edge. I was laid in bed last night, and I took myself to bed really early last night. It felt late. I finished at like 5:30. I picked the kids up, and we'd ordered in. I got that kind of decision fatigue around dinner. I didn't want to cook. It had been a long day, back-to-back one-to-ones. Yeah. And then I took myself to bed. It must have been about 9:30, 10 o'clock. It wasn't late. And I'm laid in bed, and I realised that my jaw was I was just led down, that my jaw was clenched. I had to physically unlock all of the muscles in my body, and I was like, God, I thought I was relaxed, and then I realized, actually, no, I've got to relax my jaw, I've got to relax my shoulders. Like, I had to breathe out. I didn't even know I was holding my breath in. And I think that, it was a very, very busy day, and people say to me all the time, and I'm sure lots of you will feel this, they won't even approach me because I'm so busy. And I think one of the things that I'm having to unlearn is that busy doesn't necessarily mean successful, or it may do for a period of time, but actually you can't sustain it, can you?
It is. It's about, like, there's nothing wrong with being busy or being productive, or like in general, having stress is not a bad thing at all. Like, it is how you get those sprints. Like athletes, for instance, they get build up a certain tension in order just to go after the medal. But the problem gets when it gets all the time, when you don't calm down, and then it's where your cortisol and all your stress level are up there at the moment, and where you can't relax. And I'm not saying that there are plenty of ways how you can relax. Like, some people do yoga, some people do meditate, etc. That's fine for them. It doesn't work for me. I don't have the patience for that. But so that's about finding the way how you can unwind in your way, basically, because otherwise we can't keep up.
So how do you help people do that?
How do I help people do that? There's basically, I look at two sides. I look at a person. So it's basically like, okay, Dani, you're so busy. We need to talk. Okay, how can you change some of your...
Girl, we need to talk. She's busy, that bee.
How can we change your some of your habits, but also looking at, like, okay, what is causing this? And some things can be like your own habits, but sometimes it can also be like your environment. Okay, and what can you change about that? Literally looking at, for instance, your busy business. See, a busy business, busy bee.
Yeah, sure.
It's about, like, okay, what can we unload? What can be delegated and build up a team? Because that's also where I'm very focused, like, get help. Yeah. And that's not only means like having a team in your business, but also have a home team, get a cleaner or things like that. That's what I recommend people as well. Okay, now with the whole COVID, it's a bit challenging to get some people in the house, at least here in Germany it is right now. Yeah. But that's one of the things it's a twofold thing, habits, but also literally looking at, okay, the more task based on that one.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing, and this is something that we're finding more and more and more and more, and we were talking about this with Emma Sale from Sister Killer Kittens on Monday, that we are expected and I'm talking very broadly about women here, and apologies if you kind of don't fall into the binary for the purpose of this conversation, but often women find themselves spinning so many plates, and the expectation is that they spin all of the plates. So there was a government advert over here, Nadine, that showed it was like an animation, like not a comic strip, an illustration of a house. And in each of the rooms of the house was a woman doing different things. So a woman ironing, a woman cleaning, a woman doing the kids' studies, a woman doing, folding the washing, and a man sat at his desk doing the work. But the actual reality of it is that we are doing all of those things and doing the work at the same time and having the expectations. So one of our incredible speakers for Be Inspired talks about gender roles, how things have changed, and things were maybe easier back when you needed to be a wife and a homemaker and all of these things, and that was your job. And then now there is still such an expectation for us to do all of these things, especially during lockdown, to do everything, to hold the emotional labor of the family as well, not just the cleaning and the cooking and the washing and the keeping things tidy. And how do, like you say, getting somebody in is a massive act of self-care these days, right?
It is like you're saying yourself, the magic word self-care. Is it because we're doing everything, but we can't pull up, like fill up our cup all the time because we're just too busy. We don't have time for ourselves, and like those 5 minutes putting your feet up is not going to help. So, and it's also not only that, it's all the expectation that comes from outside, but also the expectations that come from the inside, like the stories we tell ourselves. Oh, I need to do this good, and I need to be perfect. Oh gosh, I'm spending too much time on my business. I'm neglecting the thing. It's also our own story that is adding to it, and that is basically, it's like we are all exhausted.
Yeah, we're tired now more than ever. We are so tired. I remember, going back to being busy, I remember where I grew up, money was hard won. You had to work hard and be very, very busy in order for anything to have a payoff. I remember when it came to childcare. I don't know if anyone else has found this, by the way, or Mum has become much more supportive the more she's realised that actually, I'm the breadwinner, and it was the same for a long time for my sister, and that she was very, very much in that, well, you chose to have kids, you've got to look after your kids, like, all the time, and very rarely would kind of look after us to do anything particularly social right at the beginning, before she realised, right at the very beginning. The only time I would get childcare is if I was working. I was only validated when I was busy. So then that perpetuated. So I needed to be busy. And that was one of the stories that I started to absorb, that my time was only worth anything is if I was generating money and if I was busy. And I wonder how many people have that story that they tell themselves.
I think a lot more than we are even aware of. Right,
absolutely.
It's indeed that very strong, that ingrained caretaking feeling we're having, and then asking for help is like, okay, it can be felt as like, okay, I'm failing because I'm not strong. I can't help keep the family and the business together, and because I'm asking help, like, okay, I need to do this on my own. That's on top of that. I need to be that strong woman. What also comes from, like, being strong does not mean that you can't ask for help. Asking for help is a sign of strength.
Right. It's been okay to say that actually I've got all these strengths in this area, and right here, that's where the gap is. We need to fill that gap, and the strength is to understand where the gap is, to be able to plug it. That's leading your family. That's leading yourself. That's you being a good leader, is actually allowing for that. And I think there is this misconception that we've got to do all the things, and that's the thing that makes us strong. And actually, the thing that makes us great leaders of ourselves and our families, and etc., is this understanding. Okay, where are things running smoothly? Brilliant, that's great. Where are things not running so smoothly? Okay, let's give this some focus. Is this a me job? Is this something that's my area of genius, my zone of expertise? And if the answer is no, then why the fuck are we doing that?
It's like you can do something and you're like, oh, that's not my thing, but I have to do it, and it's taking you ages. And whereas someone else is really enjoying it, it's like, okay, who am I to take away that joy from that person?
Right? I am beyond blessed to have an incredible team. So my team around me, so I've got an extended team, and I've got like my inner team. So I've got Danielle, who's my ops manager, and she looks after all of the wider finance related stuff, all of the technical stuff and how it all fits together. She keeps me in track that way. And then I've got Wallace, and he looks after all of the design stuff that you see and all of the graphic stuff and the website stuff and the stuff that I just don't know about them. And then I've got Anna, who is an absolute organizational wizard. How she her brain must work like different filofaxes, and each of these filofaxes pertain to a different area of my organization, and that she takes joy in helping me get that sorted so that she respects and loves what I do for people that much that she revels in being able to create that really incredible foundation for me, so that all the key players in the team allow me to show up in this way. But that was hard to get my head around. How do you help people get their head around this?
Well, it's not a very sexy way, to be honest.
These conversations are not sexy, and this is what we need to get to grips with. The money conversation is sexy. Abundance is sexy. This is the not sexy stuff.
No, it's not sexy, but it is so much needed in order just to go to the more like sexy visionary leading you are. It's literally sitting down and let's map what it is. How are your processes in your business? What needs to be done? What do you enjoy? Where's a gap? And that's like what can you do, but is okay. It's like I'm really pushing those people to go, okay, you are going to your zone of genius, and that's where you're going to stay, and everything else we're going to delegate.
Yeah, and that's hard to let go of when you are a solo business owner, particularly when you're a solo business owner. How do we start to relinquish some of that? Because we're like little control freaks because it's our baby.
It is. That's where the top love comes in.
We need that sometimes.
Yeah, but it is also, it's about like looking at this from things. Like we can look to everything ourselves, and that is brilliant, and that's how you started. But on the other hand, if you want to grow, if you want to make a larger impact, then all of a sudden you need to let go.
Right. It's almost like an oxymoron. It's almost like it feels contradictory that you want to carry on leading in a strong way, but you've got to let some things go. You're like, that's not what really is meant to happen, is it?
Yeah, but it is. It's also like if I got my clients with that, it's first of all like they feel like there's a burden that comes off their shoulders. One hand, on the other hand, is also part of grief.
Right.
It's kind of like, oh, I'm letting go of my baby. No, you're not. You're letting it go. It's like you're having a child. All of a sudden, it gets on its bike and it goes and goes.
And it's off.
And I'm like, oh my God, don't stay. You're
running after it. But then the pride that you feel when you do start to see all the wheels start to move in motion is worth its weight in gold. And then you have this additional bandwidth, this extra thing that you've kind of put down, this plate that you've stopped spinning, that leaves you now able to develop and grow in your area of creativity and all of that sort of stuff. And it's like stepping away from being a helicopter parent and just kind of like coming, as long as you know what's going on and you're informed and you are still the decision maker, then there's nothing wrong with it. It's very, 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 very liberating. Exactly. Again, we were saying earlier in the week, you don't see Richard Branson sat in the contact centre selling plane tickets. You at some point you've got to be able to, for your business not to just be a job that you have given yourself, you've got to be able to step away from it at some point and allow yourself to enjoy the trappings of the empire that you've created.
I always say it's like, okay, you need to fire yourself. Fire yourself as the jack of all trades in your business and promote yourself to CEO.
Right.
Because that's it. It's like CEOs, they can middle in all the stuff, but the moment it gets too operational, it's getting messy and muddy and etc. Let people trusting to do what they do best, and that also comes with the next step where I'm helping them. Okay, what kind of people do you need? What's the perfect team member for you? Who can jam with you? Who is in your inner circle? Because it doesn't, it's like, especially in businesses we are, it's not like, okay, we're going to put a job ad somewhere and on a job board. It's not going to work.
No.
It's much more personal. It's much more personal. It's a bit more unconventional, which makes it fun. You need a certain type of person to help you, and you need to have the job description. So you find that, and then you have your perfect team member. Next thing is, okay, onboard them. Make sure that they know what to do. And of course, at the beginning, you'll be much more involved. And at a certain point, you need to let go of that as well. And then keep on growing. It's like you grow as a person through all the personal development you're doing, you're working on yourself, but also focus on your team development so that they grow with you and grow with the company.
Absolutely. And Simon, who was on the show just a few weeks ago, morning Simon, is joining us he's over in South Africa, who can jam with you. Sometimes people join the band and just make a mess of the music. Now, being a musician myself, like, I hear this. Getting that bit right is important, isn't it? And again, one of the conversations, I've had with my team is, very centered around culture and what I want the culture of working with me to be like, for people to be taking initiative, not to be having to peck me for everything whilst I'm getting on with it. I absolutely implicitly trust my team members to be able to make decisions, and I can step away and allow that to happen and know that it will be made with the best of intentions and with the best outcome in mind, and it won't be done in a way that is lazy. And also that if they have got an idea that they want to develop, then I want to create a culture for them to develop it. And I think that it's important that when you're bringing people into your business, thinking about what do you want for the people that you bring in, if you're bringing them in, in a less sort of like a micro freelance way, if they're spending more time with you in daily time, what do you want for them as well, right?
It is indeed that. It's about indeed like building the trust and letting them go and do stuff. It's not about you anymore in the business. Like you have a responsibility to other people who are also contributing to something. And I always say, like, together there's so much more you can do. So you need to let go of that. Like, okay, I am the solopreneur, and like it's the same. It's like, are you gonna love this one? It's just like it's like a beehive. Like, you got the queen bee who's doing everything, and then you have the worker bee. So making sure that everything is if things so that the queen bee can do what she does best.
Mm-hmm. I'm here for this. I'm here for this analogy. Yeah. That's exactly right. And the interesting thing is, because I'm very interested in bees as well, that everything is for the good of the hive and not for the good of the queen bee. Everything is for the good of the whole of the community, for the whole, as opposed to, and that's the interesting thing, that it's not, that the queen bee has a role within it, but actually it's for the good of every single organism that's a part of it. And I think that that's a really cool way to look at things. Absolutely, really cool way to look at things. Indeed. So what brought you to this work, Nadine? Because I know that you've worked in learning development, you've been, we've been in training and all of that. What brought you to this work in this space?
It is quite funny. Like, indeed, like I've been in learning and development in my, actually all my career. Worked for really large companies, and I started out when it came to Munich here, like for 10 years now. Gosh, time flies. Right.
We just realized, me and Wallace realized yesterday we've been together for 10 years. I was like, we've been together a decade. We've not even thought. It was like, no, it goes quick. So as you was moving to Munich, me and Wallace were just getting together.
So, but that's how we came here. So I came here, I had no job. That was one of those. It was just after the big economic crisis of 2008 as well. So one in their later thing. So I was made redundant, and my husband and I, we were like, okay, what are we going to do now? Am I going to look for a job in the Netherlands, or are we going to take this opportunity, like making something out of the crisis we're having, and moving, like realizing our dream and moving to Munich, because that's something we always wanted.
Yeah.
And his job, his location independent, so that was our luck in that one. So we moved here, and I needed to find a job here at the beginning, but then I was like, okay, in the meantime, I just freelance a little bit, and got myself into like freelance training and coaching, those kind of stuff, basically doing what I've done before, but just a thing. And that's how I kind of rolled into the whole freelance training and team consulting and peeping in bigger companies, etc. And all of a sudden, I was running into like I always call it was my near miss burnouts.
Right.
I started to work with a company after a few months, and it was just not me. It was not a match, and I was taking everything up. Indeed, I was so tired. I was exhausting myself, and I'm so grateful still for my my doctor here. Because I went there for something harmless, and she looked at me and she was like, "You're not doing well, aren't you?" And I was in my
okay.
I burst into tears. She said, "Okay, I'm going to call you sick. You're not going to go to work." And sometimes things are a blessing in a disguise, because the company I was working for, because like I knew something was wrong, they took that opportunity to fire me as well.
Oh, nice.
Nice indeed. So
and the thing is, again, one of the reasons why a lot of us move into working for ourselves is that there is a realization that comes with working for corporate for a long time. Unless you find a fantastic company, a really fantastic company, there still are restructures. You are still a number. You are still somebody who is taking up time and money. And if you are not proving your efficiencies in that area, then it becomes very difficult. You're not looked after. Like, say we have a lean month in IATQB, I don't suddenly start looking to chop heads. We want to look after, because I know what it's like to be put through change management. And really what we're talking about is heads rolling. When you're one of a number. And that's a different kind of stress that people laugh at us as entrepreneurs and go, "You've no job security." And I kind of look at them and go, "Really? Is it? Have you?"
I know. I'm like, I got the same thing. It's like, well, you're putting all your eggs in one basket, my friends.
For sure.
But that's how it came. And for me, that was like, okay, that's a moment. And that's how I went full time in business.
Amazing.
And I continued working as more like from the outside in. Like, I love working with corporates, but I don't like being part of it. So that's a big realization for me. And that's also how I start to see, like, because you're having this outside in, this neutral view of things, like how people are just exhausted, they're tired, how they are working in dysfunctional teams, how things are not working. And like me, little consultant is not going to change it, but it's about like creating awareness and focusing on that.
Yeah.
And then I started to look more at the online world. I'm like, okay, guys, these are people who are making, some are making millions online.
Yeah.
And it's lean, but it's like these are as serious businesses as certain companies here down the road.
100%.
Why are they
all
not
of them paying taxes? All of them contributing? All of them, pumping money into the economy at a time when not many people are.
Yeah. And that's also why I started to change a little bit my target groups. Is also helping these CEOs, because that's what they are, these CEOs, to give the leadership training, like what is normal in learning and development at corporates, but basically focus on doing that on the more smaller scale, which is not small at all. And also building the teams, giving the hands and tools that is taken for granted in corporates, but where us entrepreneurs are still like trying to figuring it out. I'm like, okay, let's do that. So make sure that you can show up and do what you do and the mission you are here without being exhausted and behaving like an adult 2 years old on a tantrum.
Right, absolutely. But I've got a very similar background in corporate too. So I was in learning development. I worked for some fantastic global companies and I had a great time whilst I was doing it. And when I moved out into the self-employment space and the entrepreneurial space, you realize that actually there's a lot that the corporate world and the learnings within the corporate world can bring.
Exactly.
And like you say, with you going and doing consultancy with the corporate companies, again, it's like this. There's so much we can learn from each other. And I'm doing some work with the incredible Joe Swan from Chocolate PR at the moment about bringing the validity of the people that work within the online space into more of a mainstream conversation because of exactly what you said, that we are creating the whole army of people that are generating wealth and abundance and putting money back into the economy and what have you. And it's a very, very important bridge to gap right now, right?
Yeah. And I think it has like things has changed. I see things have changed, especially over the last couple of years where everyone had to work from home and people were before it's like, oh, you're working from home, you're not doing anything, etc. And all of a sudden now everyone else had to move to work from home. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, that's interesting. Oh, and you're still making money and like big money from this. And I see a lot of the people, also my friends who are employed, it's like, hey, I want to know more. What is it exactly?
Did you know there was a recession? Like, did you know? Like, I was like, no, I didn't get the memo. Shush.
What recession?
But this is this, you know, and that's not from a brag space. It's from a tenacity space and an allowance and an understanding that, you know, when you realize that nobody's safe, then you become that little bit more resilient. You learn how to do the dance. You learn how to start to dodge the bullets a little bit more. You start to consider having foresight. And I think that when you're in that employed space, you don't need to really afford yourself too much in the way of foresight because those decisions are being made by the powers that be. That's taken out of your hands. Exactly. When you're making those decisions, I remember when I was learning to drive and my driving instructor, I was driving on the motorway and we were driving on the motorway and I said, how do you know like what's gonna come? I know that there are accidents that happen, but how do you kind of gauge the flow of the traffic? It was like, look a few cars ahead. Exactly. For the brake lights. Don't look at the car in front of you for the brake lights. Look a few cars ahead for the brake lights. And that's what's going to help you. So allowing yourself the bandwidth by getting the right team around you allows you to do the research as well that you need to see where the markets are going, for you to see where the brakes are being put on elsewhere so that you can dodge the bullets. You don't get that kind of flexibility when you're in that employed space.
Exactly. And on top of that, like is also like having the bandwidth, because having a team, but also having a bandwidth just to be rested. Because if you're driving the car, being rested and being able to see and to anticipate on things is also one thing. And that's also why I incorporate this sleep part of it so much. Because it is, if you slept well, if you rested well, you have a clear mind and you're much more you can better anticipate on things, get more creative, other solutions, etc. It's not for nothing that the corporate wellness has become more and more part of it, also in order just to focus on mental health issue, just pay more attention to that. Because in the end, we're talking about people, and it is also like if people are not there in their full power, right? As in like their full power that comes in this intrinsically, it's gonna cost a lot, not only for the economy, but also it's like a personal sacrifices, and I was just like, I don't want to allow that.
No, absolutely. And this is like hangover period from the 80s and the 90s, which was very much hustle. And so much so you would have like boiler rooms of sales and everyone's coked off the tits and all of this because they're not sleeping, because it's, you know, it's 2 o'clock in the world somewhere, so we're always closing and we're always this, and that we cannot sustain that. And also people are wise to that way of doing things now and realize, like you said, that the sacrifices aren't just from an economical point of view, they're from a personal point of view, and there has to be balance that we draw. So Nadine, we're running out of time for our conversation today, and I could just talk about all these incredible things, and that is, just scratching the surface of the kind of value that you bring to your clients and to the corporate world. And thank you so much for putting the spotlight on these things, because I know that by getting involved with you and having you in their world, they are much better able to, be working within their zones of genius, to be having the impact that they really truly want to be having. So thank you for that. What have you got coming up that you're excited about, Nadine? Tell us.
Well, I have a little things, like I'm writing and contributing a chapter to an amazing book. That's all I can say about this. And it's all about this indeed. So where it's really focusing on this part of, I always say rest for results. Right. Or as I like to say, it's sleep and grow rich. Honestly, that's how it works.
I am here for that. we laugh, on the show. I'm a procrastinator. It's one of my self-sabotage things. But if you're telling me that I'm going to sleep and grow rich, I am here for that conversation.
Exactly. No, that's something big I'm working on. And apart from that, like I am taking up some clients love to work, and really I'm on a mission just to change that, taking that busy out of business and making sure that people are really flying and doing what they need to do without being exhausted.
Fantastic. And we could all do with a little bit more of that. And as we go back out into the world, as we know it or don't know it anymore, we don't know, going in with that kind of clarity about ourselves, about what we need, is really a surefire way of starting to relinquish some of that exhaustion that we're feeling, to really focus on creating the lives that we really want. It's giving us that incredible reflective time. Nadine, how do we find out more about you? How do we come and hang out with you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and otherwise just go to my website, NadineDeZoeten.com. Just tweaking a little bit behind the scenes, but it will be published later on this week.
Amazing. Well, give us a shout. We'll make sure we share it in the Hive.
Absolutely.
Nadine, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
It has been a phenomenal show once again, and I really enjoyed speaking to you. I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks. Thank you. Have a lovely weekend.
You too. So there we go. Another show at Rise Up Show in the bag for the month of March. I am now in the final countdown. It's a week today. I get my keys to my house. I'm very excited. So I'm going to go and make some phone calls around that, make sure all the cogs are in motion, everything's happening as it should. If you have not got your tickets to Be Inspired yet, please make sure that you are putting a little bee emoji in the comments, and we'll hook you up with a link. You will be seeing a lot more about that. Loads of teasers, loads of information about our speakers, how you can get involved, what you're going to be getting excited about. That is Be Inspired, our online incredible event. We're bridging the gap between this sort of online summit space into getting back into real life. I'm taking my speakers to a TV studio. We're going to light it up for you with a veritable smorgasbord of incredible topics for you to be working on your business and on your lives as well. 22nd and 23rd of April, Be Inspired. Tickets at £89 for the whole of the 2 days. You get lifetime access plus bags of bonuses as well. Make sure you get a hold of your ticket. Right, you lot, have a phenomenal Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Oh, the alliteration is filling me up. Have a wonderful weekend. Let me know over in the Hive what you're going to be getting up to. Please let me know over in the IATQB Hive, which is my free community, guys. Get yourselves over there if you're not in there already, and tell us about your successes. Share with us your challenges. We are here to cheerlead you, and we are here to support you as well. I love you guys. Have a phenomenal day. I will see you bright and breezy at 9:30 on Monday for more Showing Up, Wising Up and Rising Up. Take care.